The night is quiet now. The air is soft, like a veil of silk drawn across the world. You are safe, and you are drifting. In the stillness, an ancient temple rises before you. Its pillars glow with golden light. The stones are worn by time, yet they shine with the breath of eternity. Torches burn low, their flames bending gently, like reeds in a river breeze. The sound of sand whispers across the floor. A hush, a breath, a sigh. You step slowly, calmly, into the hall of judgment. Above, stars shimmer like watchful eyes, peering through cracks in the ceiling. Here is the place where souls once gathered after the body's long rest. Here is the Hall of Ma'at. The walls carry paintings of birds, of rivers, of lotus flowers in bloom. Each picture glows faintly in the torchlight, as if alive. The smell of oil and incense drifts through the air, warm and faintly sweet. You feel time stretch wide, as if the moment has no beginning and no end. At the center of the hall, two great scales stand in silence. One side holds a feather, pale and white as moonlight. The other side waits, empty. For the weight of a human heart, the scales do not tremble. They are perfectly still. It is said that every soul must pass here. Every soul must be measured. The goddess Ma'at stands close by. She is calm, radiant yet gentle. A tall crown rises from her head, and upon it rests the sacred feather. Her eyes are steady, but not unkind. She does not glare, nor threaten. She only waits, with patience deeper than the desert night. Her feather is not of flesh or bone. It is the symbol of truth, of balance, of harmony. It weighs nothing, and yet it holds the weight of the universe. A soul's heart, placed against it, must not be heavier, for truth is light, and deceit is heavy, and so the scales listen silently to what each life has carried. You watch as a soul approaches. It glides forward softly, like mist across water. The heart it carries glows faintly, a shimmering red, pulsing with memory. Every kindness, every unkindness, rests within its beat. Every joy, every sorrow, every choice. The heart is not judged for perfection, only for balance, only for truth. The heart is placed gently upon the scales. The feather shivers in the torchlight. The air grows still. No wind, no sound, only the hush of waiting. The scales lean. For a moment, the heart sinks down, but then the feather glows, and slowly, gently balance is found. The soul exhales, and the hall breathes with it. Ma'at nods, her feather calm. The path ahead opens, and the soul drifts onward into peace. But sometimes, the heart grows heavy. It remembers greed, pride, cruelty too sharply. It clings to shadows, too unwilling to let go. When this happens, the scales bend downward, and the heart outweighs the feather. The hall grows quiet. The torches dim. The silence deepens. Beside the scales, another figure waits. It is Ammit, the devourer. She is part lion, part crocodile, part hippopotamus, all strength, all hunger. Her eyes glow faintly. She does not chase. She does not roar. She only waits, with patience equal to Ma'at's. If the heart is too heavy, it is given to Ammit. The devourer consumes it gently, without anger. For such a soul is not ready to move forward. It must dissolve and begin again in another way. And so, nothing is wasted. Even heaviness is returned to the cycle. The hall grows still once more. The scales gleam faintly, untouched, eternal. One by one, hearts come forward, some drift on, light as morning wind. Some return, heavy as stone, to be remade. The balance continues forever, without hurry. You feel the air wrap around you, soft and slow. You feel your own heart, quiet inside your chest. It beats gently, steadily, like a drum echoing through desert canyons. It is not heavy. It is not lost. It simply beats, carrying memory, carrying truth. You sense that Ma'at does not watch with judgment. She does not scold. She only listens. She listens to the song of your life, to the weight of your choices. Her feather drifts, patient, endless, waiting only for honesty. And honesty is light. Honesty is freedom. In this hall, there is no fear, only balance, only truth, only the steady rhythm of time, like waves upon a riverbank. You close your eyes, and the golden walls shimmer, the torches flicker, the scales gleam. Everything slows. Like sand sinking in water, your thoughts grow softer, lighter, like feathers themselves. They drift, they float, they vanish into silence. Now, the hall fades into starlight. The pillars melt into night sky. The scales become constellations, shining gently above you. The feather becomes the crescent moon. Your heart beats softly, in rhythm with the stars. No judgment presses upon you. No weight pulls you down. Only balance, only rest. The night carries you gently. The world turns quietly. You are light. You are safe. You are drifting. The myth lingers, not as fear, but as comfort. A reminder that truth is never a burden. It is the absence of weight. It is the freedom of the feather. The heart that chooses kindness becomes as light as air. The heart that holds truth can travel anywhere. And so you drift, feather light, across the night sky. Stars flicker like lanterns on a silent shore. The river of the heavens flows quietly, carrying you with it. The scales of Mayat remain behind, calm, eternal, waiting for another day. Rest now. Breathe softly. Let the balance of the world cradle you. Let the feather of truth rest upon you, lighter than dream. Close your eyes to the torchlight. Close your eyes to the golden hall. Let yourself drift through the gate, into the gentle dark. The soul is free. The night is long, and your rest is safe. Now drift onward, into silence, into peace, into sleep. The night deepens. A veil of shadow falls softly over the world. The stars glimmer above like gentle embers. Breathing against the dark, you drift further, carried by silence, carried by still air. Now before you, a mountain rises. Its sides glow faintly, as if fire smolders deep within its stone heart. Smoke curls upward, not fierce, but slow, a soft exhale from the earth itself. The mountain does not threaten. It waits, ancient and patient, holding stories in its depths. The ground beneath your feet feels warm. The air is thick with the scent of rock and ash. With whispers of fire hidden below, you step quietly, and the mountain opens its passage. A cavern yawns, wide and deep, and you drift into its embrace. The cave is not dark. Faint light glows from the walls, as though tiny stars are trapped in stone. Their glow is steady, their warmth kind. Every step echoes, but gently, like water dripping into still pools. You descend slowly, calmly, until the cavern opens into a vast underworld. Here lies the realm the Greeks once spoke of. Not a place of terror, but a place of truth. The fire here does not rage. It flickers in silence, like the breath of sleeping giants. Rivers of flame move not quickly, but with the pace of dreams. All is calm, all is timeless. You see figures moving in the glow, not spirits of despair, but stories carved into endless time. They drift and walk, each carrying their own echo, each teaching through their quiet steps. The first you see is Sisyphus. He stands by a hill of stone, and before him lies a great boulder. His hands rest upon it. His body leans forward. Patient, steady, the stone begins to move, and he guides it upward. There is no cry, no fury, only the sound of stone against earth. Slowly, carefully, the boulder rises, step by step. Sisyphus moves with it. The mountain seems endless, yet he continues, calm, steady. At the peak, the stone trembles. It rolls back, slipping down the hill with a heavy hush, and again, Sisyphus walks to it, lays his hands upon it, and begins anew. Not in anger, not in despair, simply in rhythm, as steady as breathing. His story is not of cruelty. It is of persistence. It is the image of pride, humbled into patience. It is a lesson carved not in fire, but in stone. The soul learns, slowly, that even endless struggle can become a meditation, even Burden can be rhythm, even punishment can become peace. Beyond him drifts another figure. It is Tantalus. He stands within a pool of clear water. It rises up to his lips, but when he bends to drink, it recedes. Above him hang branches heavy with fruit. They sway low, but when he reaches, they drift away. At first, his arms move with longing, his hands grasp, his lips part, but the fruit never comes. The water never stays. He looks upward, his eyes quiet now, no longer desperate, for the lesson has settled into him. Desire never stills itself by reaching, hunger never quiets by taking. Peace is not found in clinging, but in release. And so, he lowers his arms. He stands within the pool, still and calm. The fruit sways above him, golden in the dim glow. The water touches his feet. Cool and steady, he no longer strives. He simply rests, and in that rest, the punishment becomes a garden. Farther in the cavern, you hear the faint ring of chains. A shadow moves, broad and quiet. It is Prometheus. His figure rests upon stone. His arms are bound. His chest open to the winds. Once each day, an eagle came to him. Once, each night, his wound would heal, and so the cycle endured. But here, in this dreamlike vision, there is no agony, only repetition, only the image of sacrifice. Prometheus gave fire to humankind, and in return, he bore the fire of suffering. Yet even here, there is no fury. His eyes are closed, his breath is slow. The chain has become part of the mountain. The wound has become part of the stars. His story is no longer torment, but remembrance, a reminder of gift and burden, light and cost. You drift past these figures. The air glows red and gold, not harsh, but tender. Fires ripple gently, their flames like soft ribbons. The cavern hums with low music, the echo of time itself. The underworld is not cruel. It is not wrathful. It is simply reflective. Every soul mirrors itself here. Every story is told not in words, but in images: stone and fire, fruit and water, chain and sky. These myths are not cages. They are mirrors. They reflect the weight of pride, the ache of desire, the cost of rebellion. Yet even here, in the heart of the mountain, there is stillness. There is quiet. There is a soft lesson that even punishment can cradle, gently, into wisdom. The mountain breathes around you. Its fires dim. The cavern folds back into shadow. The figures fade, like mist dissolving into morning. Sisyphus rests beside his stone. Tantalus stands calm in his pool. Prometheus drifts beneath. The stars carved into rock. All is silent. All is still. You feel your own breath soften. You feel your body rest. The lessons of the underworld are not heavy. They are featherlight. They float in your mind, like sparks rising from firewood. The fire beneath the mountain is not wrath. It is memory. It is light held deep within the earth. It flickers, steady, carrying stories like embers across time. Now, the cavern begins to close. The walls fade into darkness. The fires sink into the soil. The mountain itself grows still. Above, stars shine once more. Cool night air touches your skin. You drift outward, leaving the underworld behind, carrying only its quiet lessons. The mountain remains. The stories remain, but you rise into peace, into calm. Your thoughts soften. Your body feels light. You drift like smoke across a quiet sky. Rest now, let the fire beneath the mountain fade into silence. Let the myths dissolve into dream. No burden follows you, only calm, only breath, only peace. Now drift onward, into sleep. The stars return. The night holds you, and you are safe. The night carries you onward. Soft winds move like whispers across the sky. The stars gleam faintly above. Scattered like grains of silver sand, you drift, slow and calm, into another land. A land of vast horizons and endless silence. The air grows warmer. The ground beneath you shifts into desert sand, smooth and golden. It stretches far, as if the world has no edge. The dunes rise and fall, breathing like the chest of a sleeping giant. The twilight sky rests overhead, not dark, not light, but a place in between. a place where spirits wander. Here begins the desert of silent eyes, a realm spoken of in the oldest Mesopotamian tales, a realm where the dead walk slowly, step by step, under the gaze of gods who do not speak. The desert is not cruel. Its silence is heavy, but gentle. It does not burn with fire, nor freeze with ice. It is simply endless, and in its stillness, the souls carry their shadows. You see them moving, figures walking through the sand, faint as mist, their heads bowed, their eyes dim. They are not tormented by lashes or flame. Instead, they carry thirst, they carry hunger, not sharp, but lingering, like an echo that never fades. This was their punishment, told long ago, not to suffer in pain, but to wander in want, a reminder that the gifts of life are not to be forgotten, that reverence is not to be left behind. In the distance, you see the gates, tall, silent, carved from black stone, the gates of Irkalla, the land of the dead. They rise against the horizon, unmoving, unbroken. Before them a shadow lingers, Ereshkigal, queen of the underworld. She does not speak. Her eyes are vast and still, like pools of dark water. Her presence is not wrathful, it is calm, watching, eternal. Souls pass her gates without sound. They bow, they drift, they vanish into the desert beyond. No cry follows them, no trumpet calls, only silence. Among the wandering souls, some remember. They recall the taste of water, the sweetness of fruit, the laughter of fields, the scent of rain. These memories shimmer faintly around them, like sparks carried on wind, but the sparks fade as they walk. The desert asks them to release all memory, until only silence remains. Yet there is no cruelty here. The silence is not a punishment meant to harm. It is a teaching carved into twilight. It reminds each soul what is taken for granted in life becomes precious in death. Every drop of water, every grain of wheat, every birdsong, every breeze, all were treasures once. And so, hunger is not the true punishment. It is the reminder, the echo of reverence that was once forgotten. A river winds faintly through the sand. It is not wide, nor rushing. It glows softly, as if made from starlight. Souls gather along its bank. They bend, they reach, but the water slips away. It is never cruel, only elusive, like a dream that fades upon waking. The river is memory. It carries the stories of the living, but the dead cannot drink deeply of it. They can only touch its surface, only feel its coolness pass through their hands. And so, they learn the quiet truth, that memory nourishes, but cannot feed. That longing soothes, but cannot restore. The gods above watch with silent eyes. They do not interfere. They do not scold. They are steady, like the desert sky itself. In their stillness, they remind the souls, balance must be kept. Honor must be remembered. Life must be lived with reverence, for the afterworld is only shadow. The desert holds no flames, no punishments of pain. Only shadows of what was missed, only echoes of what was once sacred. It is not terror. It is reflection. A mirror held by twilight itself. And yet, within this quiet wandering, there is also a kind of peace. The souls walk together. No one is alone. Their silence becomes a song, soft and low. A hymn without words. They walk beneath stars that never fade. They walk across sand that never ends. And in the endlessness, there is calm. No fear, no wrath. Only the soft rhythm of step after step. You feel the desert breathe around you. Its stillness folds gently over your thoughts. Your mind quiets, like a dune smoothing in the wind. Hunger and thirst fade into symbols. They are not suffering. They are reminders of the sacredness of life. A life once lived, a life now remembered. The queen of the underworld fades from view. The gates dissolve into mist. The desert stretches outward but grows softer until it becomes the night sky itself. The sand becomes starlight. The wandering souls become constellations, shining gently above, guiding the way for dreamers below. You drift with them, light as air. Your steps leave no mark. Your breath moves with the winds. The hunger of the desert does not touch you. The thirst does not bind you. You are carried only by calm, by silence, by the soft gaze of timeless gods. The desert of silent eyes closes behind you. Its gates fade into shadow. Its sands return. To the quiet earth, you carry only its lesson, a feather-light reminder of reverence, a whisper of balance, a memory of stillness. Now, the world is soft again, the air cools, the stars return, steady and bright. The desert fades into dream, and you drift deeper into sleep, into peace. Rest now. The silent gods have turned their gaze away. The sands are quiet, the rivers calm. You are safe, and the night holds you. Let us drift onward, into softer lands, into gentler dreams. As the stars return, the night unfolds again. You drift deeper, carried on quiet winds. The stars above are steady and soft. They shimmer like lanterns hung across an endless sea of darkness. Your breath slows, in rhythm with the distant tide. The world shifts. The air grows warm and sweet, touched by salt and the scent of flowers. Palm leaves sway gently, whispering to the night. The sound of the ocean moves like a great heartbeat, slow, eternal, and calm. Here lies the vast ocean world of Polynesia. Islands rise like jewels from the water. Each one is a cradle of story, a resting place of myth. And here, under the wide sky, the old tale begins. Long ago, the world was not as you see it now. The sky pressed down upon the earth. The Sky Father and the Earth Mother lay locked in an endless embrace. Between them, there was no space. No wind could move, no light could enter. The world was dim and narrow, a cradle without breath. Their children were born into this darkness, gods of sea and forest, of storm and fire, of light and song. They grew restless. In the shadowed womb, they longed for space to stretch their limbs. They longed for light to see one another's faces. They longed for freedom. The children whispered among themselves. "What shall we do?" they said in hushed voices. "Shall we remain forever in shadow? Or shall we push apart our parents and bring forth the sky and bring forth the light?" Some trembled at the thought. To break the embrace of the Sky Father and the Earth Mother was to break the ancient order. It was bold, perhaps dangerous, but others felt courage stir within them, and so a plan was made. One by one, the children tried. The first pressed with gentle hands, but the embrace of the parents did not break. Another pushed with all his strength, but the weight was too great. Still, they did not give up, for in their hearts, a dream was growing, a dream of a world filled with wind and sky. At last, one among them stepped forward. He was tall, strong, and unyielding. Tain, god of forests and of life. He placed his shoulders against the Earth Mother and his feet against the Sky Father. Slowly, with great strength, he pushed. The air trembled, the shadows quivered. The embrace that had lasted for ages began to loosen. Light broke through, thin as a blade at first, then widening, spilling across the world. The Sky Father was lifted. The Earth Mother lay below, her body wide and green, and between them at last, the open sky was born. The children rejoiced. They stretched their limbs. They sang in voices that rang across valleys newly lit. Winds rushed in, cool and free. Light poured down, golden and new. The world opened wide. But joy was not for all. One brother, fierce and fiery, did not agree with this act. Two, the god of war, felt that breaking their parents' embrace was a crime against respect. The chains of love should never have been broken, he said, and though freedom was gained, he carried anger in his heart. So too did Rangi, the Sky Father. Though lifted high above, he still wept for Earth Mother. His tears fell as endless rain, watering the forests, filling the rivers, reminding the children of the pain they had caused. Thus, the world was born of both freedom and sorrow. Light entered, yet with it came struggle. Order had been changed. Balance had been broken. And from that breaking, new lessons grew. The children bound their father with chains of light, so he would not press down upon the earth again. The chains were not cruel, but they were strong. They stretched across the sky, like rays of dawn holding him in place. Every morning, those chains shine again, reminding all who look upward that freedom came with cost. That light was born from both courage and loss. The people of the islands remembered. They looked at the heavens and saw more than stars. They saw the chains of the Sky Father, threads of balance, lines of respect. They told their children, rebellion may bring light, but never forget respect. Freedom may open the sky, but it also binds us to what was lost. The story became not only myth, but guide. It taught that courage and reverence must walk together, that even gods are bound by balance, and that every choice shines like a chain across the sky, binding the world in harmony. You drift in this ocean world. The air is soft, touched by salt and moonlight. Palm leaves murmur above you. The waves move in steady rhythm, a lullaby written in water. You look upward. The stars glimmer like eyes, and the sky stretches wide. In its vastness, you can almost see the chains of the Sky Father, golden threads across darkness, strong, silent, eternal. They do not frighten you, they soothe you, for they are not heavy with punishment, they are gentle. Reminders that freedom and respect must live side by side. The Sky Father still weeps. Sometimes you can hear his sorrow in the rain, yet his tears give life. They soften the soil. They feed the rivers. They carry nourishment to every leaf. The Earth Mother still lies below. Her body holds forests, mountains, and fields. She is full and generous, even in her separation. And between them, the children still move. Gods of sea, gods of fire, gods of wind. Their struggles echo in storms. Their laughter shines in sunlight. Their songs rise in birdsong at dawn. The tale settles deep into you. Its rhythm is like the sea. Its lesson like the tide. Softly, steadily, it flows. You feel the chains stretch across the night, not as weight, but as harmony, not as prison, but as balance. The chains are made of light. They shimmer with calm. They hold the sky in place, and in their quiet strength, you too feel held, safe, balanced, at peace. The waves grow softer now. The palm leaves quiet. The night deepens, and your breath moves slow and even. The chains of the Sky Father remain above, glowing faintly with starlight. They do not waver. They do not break. They are steady. As you drift into steady dreams, let the ocean carry you. Let the sky rest above you. Let the story fade into silence. Now rest as the stars return. Now drift onward as the night holds you close. The night deepens. The stars above shimmer like cold sparks. Their light drifts across endless skies, quiet, pale, and slow. Beneath them, a northern land stretches wide. Snow lies upon stone, and rivers sleep beneath layers of ice. The air is still, yet it hums with ancient memory. Here, in this quiet, the old songs of the Norse people stir. They whisper of gods and giants, of fire and frost, of bonds woven by fate, and among them, the tale of one figure rises, a tale of chaos, of trickery, and of chains that wait in silence. In the beginning, there was only fire and ice. To the south, the flames of Muspelheim burned bright, sparks leaping into the dark. To the north, the chill of Niflheim spread, cold mists rolling like endless breath. When fire met frost, the first shapes stirred. Life was born in contrast, in balance of extremes. From this union came the gods. They carved the world from the bones of giants, raised the sky, lit the sun, and set stars to wander. Order grew from chaos, but still, deep within the fabric of creation, the two forces remained, heat and cold, chaos and form, and in time, they would awaken again, in the figure of Loki. Loki was unlike the others. He was clever, a shapeshifter, a bringer of tricks. At times he walked as friend, at times as rival. He guided the gods, and yet also deceived them. His words flowed like water. His mind danced like flame. Some loved him, some feared him. All knew him, for Loki carried within himself the restless tension of the first world, a spark of Muspelheim's fire, a breath of Niflheim's frost, ever shifting, never still. Yet even in play, chaos may turn heavy. Even in jest, a shadow may fall. Loki's tricks grew sharper. His laughter carried an edge. Until one day, his hand turned towards sorrow. The beloved god Balder, fair as light itself, met his end through Loki's cunning. Balder's death silenced halls once filled with joy. It cast grief upon gods and men alike. And in that moment, the laughter of Loki could no longer be forgiven. The gods gathered in anger. Their voices were storm, their faces stern as stone. They sought Loki, who fled across mountain and river, shifting shape, hiding in caves, running from the weight of his deed, but fate cannot be outrun. The gods found him at last. They seized him, bound him with cords, and carried him to a lonely cave. Here, his punishment was woven. It was not fire alone, nor ice alone, but a mirror of both. The cave was cold, its walls damp with frost. Shadows clung like heavy cloth. Here the gods fastened chains, not of iron, not of rope, but of the very sinews of his son, turned into bonds unbreakable. They laid Loki upon the stones and set him there to endure. Above him, they placed a serpent. Its fangs dripped venom, drop by drop, onto his face. Each drop burned like fire, each moment stretched like ice. And so Loki lay, bound between fire and frost, a mirror of the world's beginning, a reminder of chaos. Chained until the end of days, yet he was not left alone. By his side knelt Sigyn, his faithful wife. She held a bowl above him, catching the venom as it fell. She stayed, silent and steady, easing his suffering. But when the bowl grew heavy, she had to rise to pour it away. And in those moments, the drops fell unhindered. Loki twisted in pain, the earth itself trembling with his cries. Still, she returned. Still, she held the bowl. A balance of love and sorrow. A bond stronger than chains. Outside the cave, the world went on. Seasons turned, snow melted into rivers. Leaves grew, then fell, but Loki remained bound. His punishment endured, not as cruelty, but as mirror. For in his suffering, the gods remembered, chaos could not be destroyed. It could only be bound, held in place until the time appointed. And one day, when the end of all things approached, the chains would break. The venom would spill, and Loki would rise again, to walk at the twilight of the gods. Yet that day was far away, for now, the cave was still. The serpent dripped its venom. The bowl was lifted and emptied. The chains held fast, and the world above continued, balanced between order and chaos. You drift with this story. The cold of Niflheim brushes your skin, soft as fog. The heat of Muspelheim warms you, gentle as an ember. Two forces, ice and fire. They do not clash. They cradle you. For in their tension, the world is held. Above you, stars glitter like frozen sparks. They hang in the night, silent, steady. Some burn with warmth, some gleam with cold light. Together they weave a sky of balance. The cave fades. The chains soften, all grows quiet, and you remain, suspended between fire and frost, not in punishment, but in peace, not in venom, but in calm. For every story, even of sorrow, holds a thread of rest. And in this thread you are wrapped, safe, balanced, held. The night deepens further. Your breath moves slow. Your body rests heavy upon the bed. The story lingers, like frost upon branches, like embers in ash. Loki remains in his cave, bound until the end of days. But you drift free, carried upon quiet winds. Let the fire warm you. Let the ice cool you. Let the balance cradle you. Now rest as the stars return. Now drift onward as the night holds you close. Beneath the quiet veil of night, the air grows gentle, almost translucent. The stars breathe slowly, their light dim and soothing, as though they, too, are preparing to rest. The world feels suspended between waking and dreaming, where each sound drifts like a soft echo. In this stillness, the story begins, a tale not of noise or fear, but of shadows softened by compassion. A tale whispered from ancient Buddhist teachings, where realms unfold like pages in a boundless book. One of those realms is called the Circle of Hungry Ghosts. Imagine, for a moment, a vast plain under a moon that never warms. The ground is dry, cracked and endless. From far away, shapes stir. Wandering slowly, they move with heavy steps, not quite human, not quite lost. These are the pretas, the hungry ghosts. Their bodies seem thin as branches, fragile as smoke. Their mouths are small, barely wide enough for a breath. Their stomachs are swollen, round, aching with need. Always they long, and yet they never find relief. The air around them carries scents, faint, almost like food, almost like water. But when they reach out, what they touch turns to ash. When they lift a cup to their lips, the water dries into dust. When they reach for a fruit, it shrivels before their grasp. The hungry ghosts are not punished with fire or stone. They are bound by desire itself, by the longing that never ends. In their stories, the ache is not loud. It is a quiet sorrow, a soft echo of yearning. They are the shadows of greed, the whispers of craving carried too far. Yet within this sorrow, there is a lesson as gentle as moonlight. The pretas remind us of the pain of hunger, not only for food or drink, but for more, always more. They show how endless grasping can lead to endless emptiness. Once, it is said, there was a spirit who had once been a noble man. In his life, he feasted while others starved. He held gold but gave nothing. He sipped water while travelers fainted at his door. When his time ended, he awoke in the land of hungry ghosts. There, he felt thirst like a burning wind. He saw rivers shining, but as he bent to drink, the waters turned to flames. His lips blistered, his tongue dried, his heart trembled. The thirst never ended, yet far away, in temples of compassion, monks recited prayers for him. Their voices were soft, like rain falling on dry earth. Their compassion rippled across the realms, and in moments, the ghost felt a drop of coolness on his tongue, faint but real, for even in hunger, the kindness of others can reach across the veil. The land of the hungry ghosts is not only far away, it rests quietly within every heart. Whenever desire grows without balance, whenever need swallows gratitude, a shadow of this realm appears. It is a reminder, not of punishment, but of gentle truth. A river is enough if it quenches thirst. A loaf of bread is enough if it quiets hunger. A moment of silence is enough if it softens the mind. The ghosts teach this, not with words, but with their endless wandering. They are not to be feared, but to be understood. They are mirrors of what becomes of desire left unchecked. Now, picture the plain again. The moon hangs above like a silver bowl. The hungry ghosts wander beneath it, their eyes searching, their steps slow. Yet tonight, there is a change. From a distant horizon, a glow arises. It is not fire, nor the heat of torment. It is the gentle light of compassion. Bodhisattvas, beings of great kindness, move toward the ghosts. They carry bowls filled with sweet nectar, offerings not of greed, but of giving. The ghosts reach out, trembling. This time, the nectar does not turn to ash. This time, the water does not vanish. Instead, it flows, cool and healing. Their thirst quiets, even if only for a breath. Their hunger softens, even if only for a moment. Compassion is like this, small, yet boundless. It touches what seems untouchable. It eases what seems endless. It reaches across realms. The circle of hungry ghosts is part of the great wheel of existence. In Buddhist teaching, this wheel turns through 6 realms: heavens, asuras, humans, animals, hungry ghosts, and hells. Each is a mirror reflecting states of being, both outer and inner. The hungry ghost realm whispers of craving. The human realm whispers of choice. It is said that to be human is precious, for here, in this middle place, one can learn to ease desire with kindness. One can learn to give, to share, to be content. In doing so, the ghosts within quiet, and the path forward brightens. Close your eyes and drift deeper. Imagine the ghosts now not as strangers, but as shadows gently dissolving. Each one, in time, can find peace. Each one, in time, can be guided by compassion. The plain grows softer, less cracked. The air cools, filled with the scent of blossoms. The moon, once pale and cold, warms with a golden glow. The wandering shapes rest, their steps lighter. The ache lessens, and somewhere, A voice as soft as wind whispers, even the deepest hunger can be met with kindness. In this way, the story closes, not with fear but with understanding, not with despair, but with gentle hope. The hungry ghosts wander, but they are not forgotten. They remind every heart that compassion is the bridge between longing and peace. Let the stars return now. Let the breath grow slow, like ripples on a still lake. Let the mind rest, knowing that even in sorrow there is a path of gentleness. Drift onward as the night deepens. Rest as the circle of longing fades. Now sleep as compassion holds you, soft as moonlight, endless as the sky. Night has drawn its veil across the sky. The stars are soft, like silver seeds scattered on dark soil. A quiet wind drifts over hills, through tall grass that bends in silence. The world feels hushed, waiting as though holding a long breath. In this stillness, a path opens. It leads not to the bright temples of the day, but downward into shadowed places. For in Celtic lore, there were caves said to hold more than stone and silence. They held voices, echoes of every sound, every cry, every secret ever spoken. These were the caves of eternal echoes. Imagine a valley hidden by mist. At its center lies a mouth in the earth, dark and wide. The entrance seems alive, breathing in the night air, breathing out a cool dampness. It is not frightening, only solemn, like the doorway of memory itself. When one steps inside, the world above fades. The songs of birds, the rustle of trees, the laughter of rivers all vanish. In their place, there is only the drip of water, the hush of unseen currents, the vast hum of the earth's breath. And then, the echoes begin. Every sound becomes a mirror. A single word, whispered, multiplies and returns. Steps on stone stretch into endless patterns. A sigh drifts away, then comes back, softer, gentler, like a ghost of the breath that made it. The Celts believed these echoes were not empty tricks of stone. They were reflections of the soul. Each sound that left the lips returned as a reminder of its weight. Every cry of anger, every word of kindness, every song, every silence, all returned, not to punish, but to teach, not to frighten, but to remind. One tale tells of a warrior who sought the cave after a life of battles. His hands had held blades, his voice had carried commands, his heart had carried pride. Yet as years passed, his spirit grew heavy. He longed to hear truth, so he entered the cave of echoes. There his voice called out, sharp, commanding. It bounced back to him, hard and cold, until his chest ached with the sound. Then he softened his voice, spoke words of love he had never dared to say, and the cave answered with warmth, the echoes gentle, like water smoothing stone. The warrior wept, for he realized the cave only returned what already lived within him. In this way, the cave became not a place of fear, but of reflection. To hear one's own voice stretched across eternity was to see oneself more clearly. Punishment was not fire or chains, but the simple return of one's deeds. Like ripples on water, what one cast out always came back. Even silence was echoed. Those who spoke little would hear their stillness repeated. Their thoughts and intentions, unspoken, would hum in the dark, shaping the air. The cave revealed that even silence has weight. Now imagine yourself standing in such a place. The walls are smooth, carved by water over ages. Drops fall slowly, each one ringing like a tiny bell. The ground is cool beneath your feet, steady as an ancient heartbeat. You whisper, and your whisper returns, like a companion who never leaves. Perhaps you say nothing. Perhaps you simply breathe. The cave gathers your breath and sends it back, endless like a tide. It is not a judgment, only a mirror, a soft reminder that every action, every word has a life of its own. The Celts, who listened to rivers and to trees, believed that all of nature spoke in this way. The cave was only the clearest of teachers. But the forest, too, returned what it was given. A song to the trees was answered by birdsong. A wound to the land was answered by silence. Life, they felt, was one great echo. The cave in its depth was a doorway to understanding this truth. One could not hide from one's own sound. One could only listen, accept, and soften In that listening, peace would come, slow and gentle. Another tale tells of a poet who entered the cave. Her life had been spent weaving words, but often her tongue had been sharp. She sought the cave not for wisdom, but for challenge. She sang loudly, verses full of pride. The echoes came back, proud but empty, hollow as wind through broken wood. Then, tired, she sang a lullaby from her childhood, soft, trembling, like a mother's hand on a child's hair. The cave answered with sweetness, filling the air with layers of tenderness. Her heart quieted. She understood that only truth returned with beauty. Falsehood returned only as emptiness. The cave of eternal echoes reminds us that punishment need not be cruel. Sometimes it is only the sound of ourselves, magnified. To hear one's own sorrow is to learn compassion. To hear one's own anger is to seek gentleness. To hear one's own love is to find strength. And in the quiet of such places, one realizes that life is not separate from sound. Each moment is a voice, each breath an offering, each kindness a song that never ends. Now let the cave grow softer in your mind. Its shadows grow dim, its echoes drift like mist. The warrior rests, the poet rests. Their voices have blended into the silence. The path upward glimmers faintly, leading back to the open air. When one leaves the cave, the echoes do not vanish. They live quietly in memory, carried like a lantern. They remind the traveler that every sound, every deed will someday return. Outside, the night is calm. The hills breathe with slow winds. The stars remain, watchful, gentle, unchanged, but something inside has shifted. The echoes have shown that life itself is a mirror, and compassion is the softest sound we can give. Let your breath settle now. Let your heart rest in this reflection. You are safe. You are carried, like an echo of kindness, into the folds of night. Now let us drift onward. The cave closes behind, its song fading into silence. As the stars return, sleep as the echoes soften into dreams. The night is calm. The stars spread like scattered blossoms over a dark garden. The air is cool, yet somewhere far beyond, the memory of fire stirs, a warmth that does not fade, even when the world sleeps. For high above, hidden behind the veil of night, rests the sun. It dreams in silence, waiting for the dawn, and in the old Aztec stories, the sun was never alone. It was carried, guarded, and sometimes threatened by serpents of radiant power. Imagine now the temples rising from stone, carved steps climbing toward the heavens. Torches flicker, painting the walls in gold and shadow. Drums pulse faintly in the distance, like the heartbeat of the earth. And on the lips of the people lives a tale of serpents made of light. The Aztecs saw the world as a circle of life and duty. The sun gave light, warmth, and harvest, but the sun itself was vulnerable. It needed care, devotion, offerings of spirit and of heart. If the balance was broken, the serpents of the sun would come. These serpents were not like the snakes that slid across the earth. They were beings of the sky, scaled with fire. Crowned with feathers, they twisted through the heavens like rivers of light. They were both, protectors and devourers. To honor them was to honor the sun. To neglect them was to fall into their endless hunger. The belief was gentle in its meaning, though fierce in its image. For the serpents, who consumed the faithless, were not only destroyers, they were reminders. They taught that to live without giving back was to drift away from life itself. One story tells of a farmer who forgot the sun. He woke each day but offered no prayer, no gratitude. He ate from the earth, drank from the rivers, yet never bowed his head to the sky. And when he died, his spirit wandered in the twilight fields. There, a serpent approached. Its eyes glowed like embers. Its body shimmered with red and gold, moving like a flowing flame. The farmer trembled, but the serpent did not strike with anger. It simply opened its mouth, and in silence the spirit was swallowed. Not as punishment, but as return, a reminder that all things belong again to the sun. Another tale speaks of a warrior, brave, strong, but proud. He believed his strength alone carried the world. He forgot the truth that even warriors walk beneath the same sky as the smallest child. When his spirit passed into the afterlife, the serpents came, but they did not devour him in full. They wound around him, coiling gently, pressing his pride into stillness. Each coil whispered, "Your strength was never your own. It was the sun lending you fire." Only when the warrior bowed his head, in humility, did the serpents release him. He was free, carried not by pride but by gratitude. The serpents of the sun are mirrors. Much like the cave of echoes in other lands, they return to each spirit what was given in life. If one gave nothing, one returned to nothingness. If one gave love, courage, or kindness, the serpents became guardians. Wings of fire lifting the soul closer to light. It is not destruction, it is balance. Like the cycle of day and night, giving and receiving must move together. The sun gives without end, yet it asks in return only remembrance, only reverence. Picture the dawn rising slowly. The horizon glows faint, a line of amber against the dark. As the first rays stretch outward, serpents of light seem to dance in the sky. Their scales shimmer like rainbows in the mist. Their bodies ripple like fire across water. They twist and curl, carrying the sun upward. For the Aztecs, this was no simple dawn. It was a victory. Each morning, the sun rose because it had been fed with care, with devotion, with the hearts of those who remembered. And each morning, the serpents coiled around it, protecting it from the endless hunger of the void. To fall away from duty was to forget the sun's gift, but to honor it was to live in harmony. Not every offering was blood or sacrifice. Many offerings were simple. The song sung at sunrise, a flower placed upon stone, a whisper of thanks before a meal. Small acts of reverence fed the serpents, kept them gentle, kept them bright. And so the lesson lived on, that service to the sun was service to life itself. For without the sun, the fields would wither. Without the sun, rivers would freeze. Without the sun, no spirit could warm its heart in love. There is also the tale of a mother who lived quietly, raising her children with tenderness. She never fought in wars, never stood in temples. Her offering was simple. Each morning she lit a small flame, whispering thanks to the sun. When she passed into the beyond, the serpents came. But instead of hunger, they coiled around her like garlands of fire. They lifted her gently, carrying her spirit upward, where the sun embraced her like a child. Her devotion had been small, but it was steady, and steady devotion is stronger than the fiercest flame. The serpents of the sun are not to be feared. They are rivers of remembrance. They remind the soul of its place in the great circle. To be consumed by them is to return to the source. To be lifted by them is to rise toward light. In either way, they guide the spirit home. The Aztec people, gazing at the dawn, understood this deeply. They lived knowing that each day was borrowed light. They lived with the knowledge that all must be given back. And so their myths were not only about fear, but about balance, about gratitude, about the endless dance between flame and shadow. Now let your heart rest with this image. The cave has closed, the echoes have softened, and now the horizon glows once more. The serpents twist and shine, weaving ladders of fire through the sky. They are fierce, yet tender. They do not punish blindly. They only carry the truth of what was lived. Breathe softly, and let the serpents coil in your imagination, not with sharp fangs, but with wings of light. They move like guardians, like guides. They are reminders that every act of love, every whisper of thanks, becomes a shield of fire, carrying the soul closer to warmth. The dawn brightens, the sun climbs higher, safe in the embrace of its radiant serpents. Their bodies shimmer and fade, melting into pure light. The day begins, gentle and steady, as life unfolds once again beneath the sky. Rest in this truth. That service to the sun is service to life. That gratitude, no matter how small, feeds the fire of the world. That each breath, each kindness, is an offering that returns brighter than before. And now, let us drift onward. The serpents of the sun fade into golden mist. The sky grows calm, the stars withdraw. Now rest as the light returns. Sleep as the warmth carries you gently into dreams. the night grows quiet once more. The stars stretch wide across a sky as dark as velvet, their pale silver light drifting like soft breath over the sleeping earth. A low wind stirs, carrying with it the scent of pine and cool water. You find yourself standing at the edge of a land woven with old tales, where rivers sing and forests whisper. Here, in the folds of ancient Slavic memory, there flows a river, not just any river, but one hidden between shadow and dawn. Its waters are smooth, pale, and slow. The people called it the River of Forgotten Names. They said its voice was low, like a lullaby carried across stone. Souls who wandered too far from honor, too far from truth, would one day come to its banks. The river was not cruel. It did not strike or wound. Instead, it offered something different, an erasing, a soft washing away of memory, as if the self was only chalk upon stone, waiting for rain. To drink from the water, or to step too deep, was to lose one's own name, to forget the sound by which you were once called. Yet the loss was not always despair. Within forgetting lay the seed of beginning again. To be washed clean of name and past was also to be given another chance, a return to the wide embrace of the world. The tale tells that far to the east, beyond forests of birch and oak, a village once stood near such a river. By day the people worked the fields and baked bread in clay ovens. They sang simple songs at night, gathered close to the fire. Their names were carried with pride, each one a thread in the long weaving of their family. But sometimes, when someone strayed into shadow, perhaps through betrayal or neglect of sacred duty, they felt the pull of that quiet river. They would dream of it. They would hear it in the stillness between breaths, calling them softly. The river did not summon with anger. It whispered only with patience, as if saying, "Come and be still. Come and forget." And so a wanderer would arrive at the banks. The moonlight touched the water with silver fingers. The trees leaned close as if to witness. The river moved slowly, as though time itself had grown drowsy. The soul would kneel, dipping hands into the coolness, and as the water touched skin, a strange stillness would bloom. First the memory of anger would fade, then the memory of pride, then even the tender sound of one's own name, gone, like smoke in air. But the story does not end only in silence, for in the gentle forgetting there came also the possibility of renewal. A soul cleansed of name might return one day to the earth with new purpose, no longer chained to past burdens. The elders would say, "Do not fear the river, even when it takes, it also gives. The loss of a name is not the loss of being. It is only the pause before a new beginning." Picture now the river's slow glow in the night. Its ripples shine like threads of silver glass. The air above it hums with the quiet presence of countless voices, names once spoken, now dissolved into the current. They do not cry out. They do not ache. They drift like the hum of bees in summer, soft and untroubled. To step close is to feel that hum against the skin, a reminder that all things once heavy can be lifted, that even sorrow has its place of rest. Imagine a traveler who arrives weary from long roads. Their heart is heavy, their mind tangled with memories they cannot carry anymore. They kneel at the edge, letting the water touch their fingertips. They feel their burdens flow outward, each one dissolving like salt into sea. They do not resist. They close their eyes. The sound of their own name drifts away, yet in its place comes silence, vast and kind. In old songs it was said that swans floated upon this river, white feathers glowing beneath the moon. They were keepers of forgotten things, guardians of memory dissolved. When a soul surrendered its name, the swans carried that name into the sky, weaving it into the mist of dawn. Thus, nothing was truly lost. A name was not destroyed, but transformed, lifted into the wide breadth of the world, so that even without it, the soul remained part of the great whole. The villagers would whisper of those swans, how their wings never tired, how their eyes gleamed with starlight. To dream of them was a sign of blessing. To hear the whisper of their wings was to know that even forgetting is folded gently into the embrace of the divine. This story, tender and strange, reminds that memory is both gift and burden. A name ties us to our place, our people, our stories. But when a name is heavy, when it holds sorrow too deep to bear, the river waits with open arms, not as punishment, but as mercy. The river of forgotten names tells us that even in loss, there is a path toward peace, that the self, stripped of all sound, remains whole in silence. Now, Let the image drift before you. The moon shining across still water, swans gliding with feathers as soft as dreams. The quiet hum of names no longer spoken, floating like echoes into the night sky. The river waits, unhurried, unchanged. It carries both sorrow and hope. It remembers for those who can no longer remember, and so the traveler rests. The burdens of the past dissolve. The name once spoken fades, leaving only the gentle rhythm of breath, the vastness of stillness, the calm of new beginning. As the night deepens, the stars lean closer. Their light falls across the surface of the water, and for a moment the river itself seems to vanish into the sky, as though heaven and earth have joined in one great silence. Here you too may rest. You too may drift. Let the waters of forgetting carry away what is too heavy. Let the stillness of the night hold you. No name is needed now. No story must be remembered. Only the peace of being without weight, without worry. The river flows onward, timeless, tireless. Its voice is soft, a lullaby for every wandering soul. Names dissolve, yet life returns. The cycle continues, and nothing is truly lost. Close your eyes and feel the cool air of its banks. Hear the gentle current. Let the river carry you into its quiet embrace. Now rest. As the stars return, and the river of forgotten names flows ever onward, singing its endless song of peace, the night opens again, calm and wide. The air is warm, like a blanket resting on the skin. In the distance, drums echo faintly, not sharp, but low and steady, as if the earth itself breathes with sound. The stars above shine like quiet watchmen, keeping their place in the sky, soft and patient. Beneath those stars, a village once rested. Huts of clay and straw curved like gentle hills. Fires burned low in their hearths, sending smoke into the stillness of the night. Beyond the fields, the savanna stretched into darkness, where grasses whispered to one another in the wind. Here, in the heart of the land, the people carried stories older than memory. Stories of the ancestors who lived within the soil, the trees, the stones, and the waters. Stories of harmony, where every bond between family, tribe, and earth was a thread in one endless weaving. But sometimes those threads grew weak, and when one among the living broke the rhythm of the tribe, turning away from the bonds of kinship, or from the harmony of the land, the ancestors would remind them, not with fire, not with fury, but with stone. The elders told of a stone that appeared in dreams, heavy, smooth, and silent. When someone strayed too far, the stone would settle upon their back, not in waking, but in the spirit. They would feel its weight pressing down, making every step slow, every breath deep. It was not meant to harm. It was meant to remind, for the weight of stone was the weight of memory, the lives of kin, the voices of ancestors, the bonds once broken. To carry it was to know again the truth of belonging. Those who listened to the burden could find healing. Those who ignored it grew weary, until at last they sought the wisdom of the elders. The people believed that each stone carried the voice of one ancestor. Sometimes it was the voice of a grandmother who once kept the fire alive through a long famine. Sometimes it was the voice of a father who taught the children to hunt, to gather, to sing. Sometimes it was the voice of one long forgotten, whose blood still pulsed in every living child of the village. To carry the stone was to carry that voice. And when the lesson was learned, when the heart turned back toward harmony, the stone would grow lighter. At last it would dissolve like mist, leaving only peace behind. One story told of a hunter, proud and strong. He was quick with the spear and certain of his skill, but pride made him walk alone. He refused to share his hunt, keeping the best meat for himself. He mocked those who stumbled, and he ignored the old songs. At first he laughed when he dreamed of the stone. He felt its heaviness, yet he pushed it aside, thinking himself greater than its message. But the stone grew heavier. His steps slowed. His hunts failed. At night he could no longer hear the joy of the drums, only the endless thrum of the stone's weight. At last, broken with weariness, he sought the elders. They sat him before the fire, their faces carved with years of sun and wisdom. They placed a real stone before him, smooth and wide, and said, "This is not only punishment, it is medicine. I carry it to the river. With each step, remember your people. With each breath, remember your bonds." So the hunter lifted the stone. He carried it across the fields, across the dry grass, down to the river's edge. The sun rose and set again. His body ached, but with every step he remembered. He remembered his mother's voice. He remembered the laughter of children. He remembered the tribe that gave him his name. When he reached the river, he set the stone in the water. The current washed over it, carrying the heaviness away. And when he turned back, he was no longer alone. The tribe walked with him in his heart. The stone of the ancestors had done its work. Such tales were told beside the fire in the glow of embers. The young listened with wide eyes. The old spoke with steady voices, and all knew the truth. The stone was not a curse. It was a reminder, for in the life of the tribe, no soul stood apart. Each name, each story was woven into the whole. To turn away was to weaken the weave. To return was to make it strong again. Picture now the stone itself, smooth, cool, resting upon the earth. Its surface gleams faintly beneath the moon, as if touched by silver. If you press your palm against it, you feel not only hardness, but warmth, as though it holds the memory of countless suns. It does not speak with words, but with weight, and in its weight, there is wisdom. The wind shifts through the tall grass. An owl glides low, its wings soundless. The fire crackles, glowing with red coals. The tribe rests, their breaths rising and falling together like waves of the sea. In that stillness, the ancestors lean close. Their voices are not sharp. They are soft as humming, steady as drums beneath the earth. They remind the living, carry your bonds, share your strength. Keep the rhythm whole, and if one forgets, the stone will return, not to punish. To guide, not to crush. To heal. Now let the story drift deeper. See the hunter at peace, sitting once more among his people. See the firelight play upon his face, no longer proud but calm. Hear the drums rise, slow and steady, joining the rhythm of his own heart. The stone has left him, yet its wisdom remains. The ancestors rest, their work done. The night grows gentle. The stars shimmer above the savannah, each one a light of memory, each one a reminder that no soul is ever alone. And so the story softens. The stone of the ancestors lies still, waiting for those who need its medicine. It carries no anger, only patience. It waits as long as it must, resting in silence, until the next soul requires its weight. The grasses whisper. The drums fade. The fire sinks low. The sky is deep and endless, filled with stars that do not sleep. Now let yourself drift into that silence. Feel the weight of the day dissolve. No stone presses upon you now. Only the calm of the earth beneath you. Only the comfort of breath, steady and sure. The ancestors keep watch. The night holds you safe. Now rest as the stars return, and the stone of the ancestors sleeps once more in the quiet earth. Night stretches wide and unbroken. The air is still, touched only by a gentle breeze. A moon hangs above like a silver lantern, soft against the endless dark. Stars scatter across the sky like quiet embers, glowing with calm patience. Far below, a sacred fire burns. Its flame flickers steady, guarded by those who watch through the long hours of the night. Smoke rises upward, curling and drifting, never in haste. It sways as though it carries whispers, voices of the earth, voices of the heavens, voices of those who once walked before. This is where the story begins, in a world shaped by fire and shadow. A world remembered in the old teachings of Persia, where the faithful tended the flame not only with their hands, but with their hearts. For fire was not only light, it was purity, it was truth, it was the thread that tied soul to eternity. Among those ancient teachings was a vision, gentle yet grave, of what awaited the soul when the body grew still. The journey did not end with death. It opened into a passage, and the soul was asked to walk across a bridge. This bridge, the elders said, was thin as a strand of hair. It stretched across a deep abyss, where smoke rose thick and dark. Beneath it, the fires of untruth smoldered. The bridge led to light, but its crossing depended on the weight of the soul's own choices. Some walked across with ease, the bridge wide beneath their feet, firm as stone. Others felt it narrow, trembling under each step. For what the soul carried, the kindness it had given, the truth it had spoken, the love it had shared, became the very strength of the bridge itself. Imagine now that bridge. It stretches over emptiness, veiled in drifting smoke. The smoke coils like a labyrinth below, shifting and endless, whispering with voices of doubt and fear. Yet above the smoke, the stars still gleam, calm and clear, waiting on the far side of the crossing. The soul steps forward. The bridge hums beneath bare feet, alive with the measure of memory. Each step feels like the soft weight of a breath, each echo sinking into the depths below. The smoke rises, curling around the traveler, but the bridge holds steady for those who carried truth in life. For those who lived in harmony, the smoke was no prison. It parted like a curtain, allowing them to see the light beyond. For those who turned from truth, the smoke thickened, clouding the way, making every step uncertain. The elders spoke gently of this path. They said the labyrinth of smoke was not a punishment, but a mirror, a reflection of the soul's own choices. Just as smoke rises from fire, every action left a trace, a mark, a memory. These traces swirled together, becoming the path that awaited. If one had lived with kindness, the smoke was thin, almost transparent, like morning mist. If one had harmed others, the smoke grew heavy and thick, clinging close like shadow. Yet even then, there was hope, for within the smoke were lessons. The soul could still learn, still remember, still return to light. There is a story told of a woman who came to the bridge. In life, she had carried water for her village. Day after day, she lifted heavy jars, walking long paths so others might drink. She spoke little, but her deeds shone like flame. When she stepped onto the bridge, the smoke rose around her. Yet, it did not choke her. It curled away, thin and light, as though honoring her steps. For every drop of water she had given, the bridge grew wider. Every kindness steadied her footing. She crossed without fear, and the light on the far side welcomed her. Another story told of a man who had spoken lies. He sought power, and with his words, he scattered distrust. When his time came, he stepped onto the bridge, but the smoke thickened quickly. It rose high, twisting like serpents, clouding his eyes. Each step wavered. The bridge beneath him seemed no wider than a reed. He stumbled, yet even as he faltered, the smoke carried whispers of truth. It reminded him of moments he could have chosen differently. He remembered them one by one, and his heart grew heavy. Yet in that heaviness lay the seed of awakening. For even in failure, the smoke guided him toward reflection. In this way, the labyrinth of smoke was not only trial, it was teacher. The fire beneath was not only threat, it was reminder. Every soul, no matter how lost, was given a chance to see itself clearly, to face its own shadow, and to find again the path of light. Imagine the sound of footsteps upon the bridge. Soft, slow, echoing across the silence of the abyss. The smoke rises, drifts, swirls. Yet through it, a faint light shines, guiding the way. Each step becomes an act of remembrance. Each breath becomes a prayer. The soul is not alone, for across the smoke, across the bridge, the guardians of light wait. They hold the flame steady, guiding each traveler onward. They do not judge with harshness. They watch with patience, with care, with the certainty that every soul has the power to choose again. The labyrinth of smoke is vast. It shifts and turns, like thoughts within the mind. Some souls wander within it, learning slowly, until they find their way back to the bridge. Others move swiftly, their steps guided by the flame they carried in life. But always beyond the smoke, there is light, the flame that never dies, the fire that holds truth, waiting with open hands. The story tells us this: the bridge is thin, but it is not cruel. The smoke is heavy, but it is not endless. What matters is the weight carried in the heart. Each choice, each word, each deed becomes the ground beneath the feet. And so the people kept their fires burning, not only in the temples, but within themselves. They tended them with honesty, with kindness, with care, for they knew that when their time came, the fire would guide them across the smoke, across the abyss, into the waiting dawn. Now let the vision grow soft. The bridge fades into mist. The smoke thins, drifting like clouds at the edge of sleep. The fire burns steady, its glow warm and safe. The stars above shimmer gently, like patient eyes watching over the world. The labyrinth rests. The smoke curls into silence. The soul has crossed. The night is calm. Let us drift onward. Let the weight of the day dissolve like smoke in the wind. Breathe softly, as though walking across the bridge. Step by step, the path becomes lighter. The smoke clears. The stars return. Now rest, as the night grows still, and the flame of truth glows quietly in the heart of the world. Night deepens, and the stars fold themselves into soft clusters. The air cools, brushing the earth with the quiet touch of autumn. A lantern glows. In the distance its flames steady, casting ripples of gold along the path of stone. You walk gently into the dream, where silence is a companion and shadows are tender. Here, the world slows. Here, the heart listens. In the old stories of Japan, there were gardens not made for the living alone. Gardens where blossoms did not bloom and branches carried no fruit. They were not cruel places, nor filled with noise or flame. Their lesson was softer. Their teaching was absence. It is said that souls who had turned from harmony, who had forgotten the rhythm of nature, were guided into these quiet gardens. They did not suffer torment. They were not bound by chains. Instead, they wandered among trees with brittle leaves, ponds without reflection, and fields where flowers remained closed. The silence of beauty withheld became their mirror. In that silence, the soul began to remember what it had once ignored. Imagine this garden. The path before you winds gently, but no colors rise to greet the eye. The ground is covered in dry grass, its blades bending with a faint whisper beneath each step. Branches stretch upward, yet no blossoms unfold. The air is still, without the sweet scent of petals, without the buzzing hum of bees. And in this emptiness, a truth shines quietly. Beauty is not owed. It must be honored. It must be tended as one tends a flame. The old storytellers whispered that this was not punishment, but reflection. For in life, when one turns away from the harmony of nature, when rivers are ignored, when blossoms are trampled, when the song of birds is dismissed, the heart forgets. It grows heavy, losing its bond with the world around it. And so, after death, those souls walked among the withered blossoms, not to be broken, but to be reminded, not to be cast away, but to relearn the softness they once overlooked. There is a tale of a man who entered the garden. He had lived with hunger for wealth, cutting down trees without care, draining streams to feed his greed. When he came to the garden, he found no beauty, no fragrance, no shade. The silence pressed upon him. He longed for a single blossom to brighten the air, for a bird to rise into song. But all was still. For years of his wandering, the silence wrapped around him. At last, he remembered the laughter of children beneath cherry trees, the coolness of water flowing from mountain springs, the hush of wind moving through bamboo. His heart ached with longing, and that ache became the seed of awakening. Another tale tells of a woman who cared little for her neighbors. She closed her door to their needs, never offering rice, never sharing warmth. When she entered the garden, she found herself alone. The blossoms that might have bloomed to greet her remained closed. The silence was deep, unbroken by the voices of others. For a time, she wandered without sorrow, for solitude had been her way in life. But slowly, the silence deepened. She remembered the sound of friends laughing, the warmth of shared tea, the joy of tending fields together. In the garden of withered blossoms, she discovered that beauty blooms only when it is shared. These stories flowed like streams, told in hushed voices around hearths. They were not meant to frighten, they were meant to remind, for beauty is fragile, like the petal of a flower. It is not eternal if ignored. It needs care, attention, and gratitude. The withered garden was not the end. It was a path of return. For when the soul remembered harmony, When it longed once more for the fragrance of blossoms and the song of streams, the path slowly opened. The petals stirred. The garden began to soften. Now, let the image deepen in your mind. You walk among trees with twisted branches. Their bark is dry, yet beneath it there is still life, waiting for spring. A pond lies still, its surface like glass. You lean close but see no reflection. The silence is wide, yet it does not harm you. It holds you gently, like a pause between breaths. In that silence, you feel the longing for beauty rise. You remember the delicate sound of rain upon blossoms. You remember the shimmer of sunlight through fresh leaves. You remember the fragrance of the earth after spring showers. And with each memory, the garden breathes. One tree begins to soften, its bark loosens, and a bud forms at the tip of a branch. The pond shivers faintly, as though remembering the flow of streams. A single bird drifts overhead, silent for now, yet carrying within it the promise of song. The garden teaches not by force, but by waiting. It allows longing to ripen. It allows gratitude to awaken. And when the soul has learned, blossoms return. In this way, the old tales say, the soul rediscovers harmony. Harmony with earth, with water, with wind. Harmony with others, with the shared flow of life. The punishment is not cruelty, it is distance. The gift is not sudden, it is return. For beauty is not lost forever. It sleeps, like seeds beneath winter snow, waiting for care, waiting for love. And so the teaching rests in the heart. Tend beauty while it lives. Honor blossoms while they bloom. Share their fragrance, share their shade, share their silence. For in this sharing, the soul becomes light. The garden of withered blossoms is not far. It is within each heart when gratitude is forgotten. But so too is the spring waiting quietly, ready to bloom when the heart remembers. Now let the vision grow softer. The trees fade into gentle shadow. The pond stills into dream. The blossoms wait, quiet and patient, like thoughts falling into sleep. The night air wraps around you, calm and tender. The silence is no longer empty. It is restful. It is a cradle for the soul. Let us drift onward. Let the garden rest. The blossoms will return. When the heart remembers, the silence will soften. When gratitude awakens, now rest as the stars return. Sleep as the blossoms sleep, waiting for spring, and dream of beauty, hidden within every breath. The night opens wide, like a great woven tapestry. Stars glimmer softly, scattered across the sky as though placed by a careful hand. The moon drifts among them, calm and steady, bathing the earth below in silver light. The air is cool, carrying the faint hush of unseen wings. The world lies quiet, as though listening to something ancient, something older than memory itself. And in this stillness, the story begins to unfold. In the traditions of the Hebrews, there were tales of the Watchers. They were said to be angels, set high among the heavens. Their task was simple, yet filled with wonder. They were to keep their gaze upon the earth, to watch, to observe, to remember. They were meant to remain apart, like stars distant from the soil, to see, but not to touch, to guard, but not to grasp. For in every divine order, balance is delicate. Even the brightest of beings can grow restless. Even the most faithful can long for more than they are given. The Watchers, in their stillness, looked down upon the earth. They saw rivers glimmering like threads of silver. They saw fields of wheat swaying like golden seas. They saw men and women walking, laughing, singing, loving, and in their gazing, longing awoke a soft hunger like the pull of gravity, a desire to step closer, to walk upon the earth they had only admired from above. The stories say that some Watchers strayed. They descended from their high places. They walked among the children of the earth, no longer distant stars, but burning flames fallen low. In leaving their watch, they forgot their station. They turned from the harmony of the heavens, and their choices cast ripples through time. The old tales do not speak with anger alone. They speak with sorrow, with gentle caution. For even in beauty, desire must be weighed. Even in longing, there must be humility. When the Watchers fell from their place, they became bound. not bound in chains of iron, nor locked in prisons of stone. They were bound in the heavens themselves. Their forms became stars, fixed in place, shining yet still. Once free to move like wind, they were now frozen in light, silent reminders in the night sky of the weight of choice. Look upward and imagine them, clusters of stars, bright and unmoving, eyes that once gazed with freedom, now eternal watchers of their own longing. The heavens carry them gently, not with cruelty, but with remembrance. For every light in the sky tells a story. Every star whispers of patience, of balance, of trust, in the order that holds the cosmos together. There is a tale of one watcher who lingered by a mountain lake. He loved its stillness, its reflection of moonlight, its whisper of reeds along the shore. When he descended, he touched the water and for the first time felt the chill of Earth's breath. But when his hand touched the water, the lake no longer reflected the sky. The stars above vanished from its surface, as though ashamed to be seen. The watcher wept, for he knew in that moment what had been lost. His tears became rain, feeding the streams, nourishing the soil, yet he himself could not return. His place was sealed in the heavens. Another tale speaks of a watcher who fell for love. He looked upon the children of earth and saw their beauty. He wished to walk among them, to share in their joy, to weave his life with theirs, but love taken out of order can become shadow. His devotion became a chain, binding him away from the harmony he once knew. Now he shines in the sky, bright and sorrowful, a reminder that love is sacred when balanced, but heavy when stolen from its place. The stories of the watchers were not only about their fall, they were about humility. They were gentle, warnings that even beings of light must bow before the vastness of divine order. That beauty is sweetest when received in its time, not grasped before it is ready. As you drift in the quiet of this night, imagine their presence above you. The stars are not distant, lifeless sparks. They are watchful eyes, ancient and remembering. They hold both light and lesson. Every constellation is like a song, reminding the heart to remain steady. Every glimmer of silver is a whisper of patience. Every drifting cloud across the sky is a veil, softening their eternal gaze. The watchers remind us that even in longing, we are guided, that even in mistakes, there is light that endures. Their punishment was not endless pain, but endless remembrance, a gentle weight, carried in the heavens themselves, and so when one looks upward, one is reminded. The order of the stars holds wisdom. The stillness of the night teaches humility, the vastness above.
Cradles both mystery and mercy, the old tales.
Say that the watchers will always remain not as free travelers but as guardians, forever reminding those below, for their shining is both warning and comfort. It says, remain humble, remain grateful, remain steady in the place where you are planted. Now, as your breath slows, feel their presence above you. They do not judge. They only watch. They only remind. The night wraps you in its silver cloak. The stars glimmer softly, as though blinking with calm eyes. The watchers stand in their place, silent but unbroken. Their light touches your spirit like a lullaby. Their stillness becomes your stillness. Their watch becomes your rest. Let us drift onward. Let the stars keep their silent vigil. Let the watchers remain, steady in their place. Now close your thoughts as the heavens close around you. Now rest as the stars return. Sleep gently, held beneath their endless gaze. Word count 1 through 560. The night settles like a warm blanket over the world. The air is hushed. The stars scattered across the sky like glowing seeds of light. The moon hangs steady, a silent lantern guiding the earth below. A faint breeze moves through unseen branches. It carries the scent of wood smoke, soft and ancient, as though some hidden hearth has been burning for 1,000 years. It is within this glow, this hush, that the story begins to rise. In the cosmology of the Maya, fire was not only destruction, it was life. It was a bridge between the living and the divine. It consumed, yes, but it also renewed. Like the sun that dies each night and rises again, fire carried the mystery of endings that are also beginnings. For the people of that land, fire was sacred breath. Its crackling voice was the song of transformation. Its smoke curled upward, a ladder between earth and sky, and within its heat there was always the promise of renewal. The old myths speak of souls that passed through fire after death, not as torment, but as purification. The flames licked away heaviness, like a river washing away dust. What was dark within the spirit was burned away, leaving only brightness. The fire was not an enemy, it was a teacher. It whispered, "All that is false will fall to ash, and all that is true will endure." Imagine a soul stepping into such a trial. The air grows warm around them, the flames rise, yet they do not wound. They only press close, like the embrace of the sun at midday. The soul trembles, but slowly. Layer by layer, the fire peels away what is no longer needed. Pride falls like brittle bark. Fear turns to smoke and drifts away. Regret melts like wax, leaving the core untouched. When the flames quiet, the soul stands lighter, clearer, renewed. The Maya told stories of great cycles of time, of suns born and suns destroyed, one after another through flame, wind, water, and stone, yet in each ending was also a new dawn. Fire did not close the story, it wrote the next chapter. The cosmos itself, they believed, was woven through fire. Stars were sparks, born of the first sacred flame. Lightning was fire leaping from sky to soil, and the sun was the greatest fire of all, the eternal heart beating above the world. There is a tale of a hero who carried a torch into the underworld. He walked through caverns of smoke, through halls lit only by shifting embers. The spirits who dwelled there tried to snuff out his flame, for they feared its light, but he held it steady, even when the air grew thick, even when shadows pressed close. For he knew that fire was not only for sight, it was for strength. When he emerged, his torch still burned, and from it, the people learned that the smallest flame could guide one through the deepest night. In villages, fire was honored with reverence. At dawn, the hearth was fed with fresh wood, like the feeding of a child. At dusk, prayers rose with its smoke, carrying words to the heavens. The flames were treated as living beings, as keepers of warmth, as guardians of the home. When a new home was built, fire was brought with ceremony. It was not taken lightly, not borrowed without respect. It was given, like a gift of life. The fire of renewal was not only in the hearth, nor only in the sky. It was within every heart. The Maya believed that each soul carried a spark, a living ember of divine flame. It could dim with neglect, or flare with devotion. It could be hidden beneath ash, yet it never truly died. When the soul passed through the fire after death, it was this spark that endured. It glowed brighter, purified, a reminder that the truest part of us cannot be destroyed. Close your eyes and picture this fire now. It is not fierce. It does not roar. It glows like a hearth in the distance, steady and safe. Its warmth drapes around you like a blanket. Its light flickers softly, painting shadows that sway like gentle dancers on the wall. The crackle of its breath is slow, unhurried, a rhythm that matches your own. Within its glow, you feel your heaviness falling away. Every worry drifts upward as smoke. Fading into the night, every burden turns to ash, light as dust carried by the wind. And within you, the ember of your spirit glows clearer, brighter, renewed. The fire teaches without words. It tells you that endings are not to be feared, that every fading flame gives birth to light elsewhere, that all that is heavy, all that is unneeded, will fall away when the time is right. Just as gold is purified by flame, the spirit is shaped by its trials. Just as the dawn rises from the darkness, renewal always follows surrender. There is a gentle story told of an old woman who carried ashes in a small clay bowl. She kept them close, even as she grew frail with age. When asked why, she smiled and said, "These are not remains, they are seeds." For in her eyes, the ashes of the fire held the promise of new life. Every field was nourished by ash. Every forest grew stronger when flames had passed. What looked like ending was always, quietly, a beginning. The fire of renewal was not meant to frighten, but to comfort. It whispered to the people that nothing is wasted, that even sorrow can be transformed, that even loss carries within it the seed of birth. The flames never clung to what was pure. They only released what was ready to go. In this way, they taught that the soul's journey was not one of despair, but of release. Now, as you rest beneath the night sky, let the fire glow gently in your imagination. See its warmth rising like a lantern in the darkness. Feel its calm light brushing against your face, soft as the touch of dawn. Every slow breath is like smoke, rising higher, lighter. Every exhale leaves you more at peace, more renewed. You too carry a flame within. It will not fail you. It will guide you through shadow. It will lead you back to light. The fire crackles softly, its dance eternal. It consumes, but only to transform. It teaches, but only with kindness. It ends nothing, it renews everything. And so, let it cradle you now. Let it remind you that even in sleep, there is renewal. Even in silence, there is light. The flame fades slowly, not into darkness, but into rest. Ash drifts like feathers upon the wind. And in the stillness, the ember within you glows steady, eternal. Let us drift onward. As the flames grow quiet, let us rest. As the stars return, now sleep gently, wrapped in warmth, held in the fire of renewal. Night has settled once more. The world is wrapped in quiet silver. The stars drift like lanterns across the velvet sky. The air is gentle, still like a calm breath after long wandering. A single gate stands before you in this dream of stories. It is not harsh, nor heavy. It does not bar the way with chains. It is simple, tall, and patient, waiting in the twilight. Its frame is carved from stone smooth as river-worn shells, and it glows faintly as though it remembers every soul that has passed before. And now, at the end of this journey, the story turns to silence, to the hush that lies beyond the gate. Across many lands and many traditions, gates marked the border between worlds. They were thresholds, places of pause, where the old was set aside and the new began. Sometimes the gates were guarded by angels with quiet wings, sometimes by spirits with stern eyes, sometimes by nothing at all, only silence, as though the universe itself stood watch. To the Hebrews, gates rose in the heavens. At dawn and dusk they opened to let the sun pass through, radiant as a bridegroom entering his chamber. To the Greeks, gates stood at the entrance to Hades, watched by a hound of shadows. To the Sumerians, 7 gates opened one by one, each requiring a soul to lay aside a crown, a jewel, a piece of pride, until nothing remained but the bare essence of being. In all these stories, the gate was never merely a door. It was a moment of surrender, a pause before renewal. In the hush of Mayan temples, the gate was fire itself. In the desert of Egypt, it was the western horizon, where the sun disappeared each evening into unseen lands. For the Norse, it was the Bridge of Bifrost, a shimmering rainbow arch, glowing with the light of stars. Always there was passage. Always there was movement from one realm to the next, and beyond the gate, always there was silence. The silence was not emptiness, it was not absence, it was rest. Imagine standing now before such a gate. The air is soft and dim, neither night nor day. The ground is cool beneath your feet. Around you, there is no hurry, no demand, no weight of judgment, only stillness, holding you like a cradle. The gate does not speak. It does not ask questions. It waits with the patience of eternity. And in this waiting, your heart begins to slow like a river finding its wide, calm mouth in the sea. The ancients knew that silence was the last teacher. Not words, not punishments, not even flame, but silence. In silence, the spirit learns to lay down what it has carried. In silence, it remembers its truest shape. The Egyptians spoke of the weighing of the heart. The heart was placed upon scales beside a feather, light as air. If the heart was heavy, it would not pass. If the heart was light, it would walk through the western gate into fields of eternal rest. But more than judgment, it was silence that opened the way, for in silence the heart grew light. In silence, the burdens drifted away. The Sumerians told of Inanna, Queen of Heaven, who descended through 7 gates of the underworld. At each one, something was taken, her crown, her jewels. her robes, until she stood bare before the stillness. Only then could she pass fully into the mystery. Only then could she be renewed. The silence beyond the last gate did not destroy her. It returned her, softer, wiser, reborn. The Greeks spoke of Lethe, the river of forgetfulness. Souls drank from its waters before passing through the gate of rebirth. They forgot their pain. They forgot their burdens. What remained was silence, and then a new dawn. Close your eyes now, and feel this silence. It is not an empty hall. It is not loneliness. It is the silence of night before the first bird sings, the silence of snow falling across a sleeping forest, the silence of stars watching from their endless thrones. It is the silence that holds you gently, telling you there is nothing more to do. No striving, no proving, only resting. In many lands, gates were said to close softly after the soul passed, not with clamor, not with locks, but like the closing of eyelids at the edge of sleep. The closing did not trap. It protected. It sealed the soul in safety. Beyond harm, beyond the weight of yesterday, in this closing, silence grew deeper still. It was like the pause between heartbeats, the breath between waves. The soul, having walked through trials and lessons, no longer needed to strive. It could finally rest. There is an old story told in whispers of a traveler who reached the final gate. He carried with him the memories of many lifetimes, some bright, some heavy, some filled with sorrow, some with joy. At the gate, he was asked to lay them down. One by one, he set them upon the ground. The laughter, the tears, the victories, the regrets. And when all was laid aside, he stepped through. Beyond was silence, but in that silence was peace, so vast it held every memory in gentleness, without pain. The silence beyond the gate is not the end of the story. It is the soft folding of pages, the closing of a book after a long night of reading. The tale is complete, but it lives still, in the quiet of the heart. The gates do not erase, they embrace. Now, as you listen in this hush, imagine the gates in your mind. They rise tall, glowing faintly, calm as the stars. They open not with force, but with grace. Beyond them lies stillness, deeper than any dream. You step forward slowly. You are lighter than before. You are free of weight, free of worry, free of burden. You pass gently through the threshold, and in that passing, silence welcomes you, warm as the arms of an old friend. All the lessons, all the journeys, all the fires and rivers and trials, they fade now into rest. The gates close softly, with the hush of falling leaves. Nothing is lost. Nothing is broken. All is quiet. All is whole. And so the myths of many lands meet here, at this final gate. They whisper together in harmony. The soul is never abandoned. The journey is never without purpose, and beyond every struggle, there is silence. Not a silence of fear, a silence of peace. Let this silence cradle you now. Like a tide, it rises and falls steady and calm. Like a lullaby, it wraps around your spirit, soft and endless. There is no need to hold on. There is no need to think, only to rest. The silence beyond the gate is waiting for you, gentle as the night sky. It asks nothing. It takes nothing. It simply holds you, safe and renewed. Now drift, as the gates close softly behind you. Drift as silence becomes your blanket. Drift as the stars return above, watching kindly, watching forever. Rest now in the silence beyond the gate. Rest as the journey is complete. Rest as the night carries you into peace.